Hey everyone, thanks for listening to the Grow Your Life podcast. My name is Jeremiah Kurkowski, and on this podcast, we talk about ways for you to grow in your life and in a business that helps you live a bigger life, make more money, get more leads, customers, and clients in a business, and do a whole lot more with your life. We talk about mindset and business strategy together on this podcast to help you. If you haven't yet joined the hashtag Grow Your Life community on Facebook, be sure to do so. Over 1,500 people in there just like yourself that are growing in their life and in their business every single day, working through stuff together. And you can ask questions in that group. There's no such thing as asking a stupid question. People aren't going to shame you or treat you rudely for asking a question that might seem simple. They're there to help you. And that's what that group is for, is a resource for you to be a safe space for you to ask for help in your business. Now, if you haven't checked out my two courses, Social Media Ads at Work and Irresistible Offers That Sell, these two courses go together to help you create more sales, get more sales, leads, customers, and clients in your business. You're going to create an offer and then send it out there with advertising campaigns. And these courses go together. They're less than $100 total when you get both of them, and they have a 30-day money-back guarantee. They're right around $100. So check those out on my website, jeremiahkurkowski.com. Now, today, we are going to go into talking about failure. Everybody's least favorite topic, but it's important that we talk about it, that we discuss it, that we discuss embracing failure, that we discuss leaning into failure, that we discuss using failure as your best friend and becoming acquainted with failure, embracing it as a teacher for you. For you to reach your goals in a business, you're going to have to fail fast and fail often and lean into failure as a teacher for you. It's not enough to merely accept that failure happens. We need to seek out failure. We need to seek out no's more than yeses. This is what allows us to grow. This is what allows us to take things to the next level because we're taking risks, we're testing things out, and we know that our risks are not always going to pan out the way that we would want them to. And that's important to know that and to be okay with that and to accept that, and to actually lean into that instead of trying to move away from it. And so when you get to the point as you're building your business where you're okay with things not working out how you want them to, you're going to look for failures. You're going to look to test things out to see, okay, this failed and this succeeded. Every piece of my methodology for marketing, for sales, is driven by seeking after failure versus trying to avoid it. And so the way that my clients get the most results, multiple 7 figures, 8 figures. You want to know how you do that? You fail more times than you succeed. But those winners produce those 7-figure results because we tried enough things. We swung at the ball enough times that we struck out more times than we hit home runs, but we hit more home runs than anybody else. I'm going to say that again. We swung at the ball, think of it like a baseball analogy, enough times that we struck out more than anybody else, and yet we hit more home runs than anybody else as well. And so embracing that total falling flat on your face, making a mess of yourself, making a mess of situation, embracing that in your business is important. Now, we're not doing things to say, I'm going to do this and hope that it fails. We always hope that it succeeds, right? But we accept that it's probably going to fail. And we do things that maybe have a likelihood of possible failure, risk-reward ratio. You expand your risk tolerance to be able to do things more often. I'm not talking about just going out there and making a fool of yourself and I'm constantly failing because I'm failing. Like, I'm gonna throw $1,000 at a stock that I know is going down and it failed. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about putting yourself out there and it might not make the result that you want, but you have hope that it does so that you can learn what does work. And being okay with having a lot of failures under your belt in that process, in that pursuit of discovering what does work. leaning into it, embracing it, being okay with it, being willing to fail on a regular basis, killing that fear of failure. And many times our fear of failure comes in because we had some kind of a failure in our past that we either haven't forgiven ourselves for, or it was just too painful for us to ever think about experiencing that failure again. And yet, in my experience, those failures were actually pointing you in the direction that you need to go, and they taught you a lesson along the way. They taught you a lesson on what didn't work, what wouldn't work, okay? And so we have to retrain ourselves when it comes to failure, that failure is not so painful. The reason why failure is so painful is because we have unreasonable, unrealistic expectations about things having to go our way, oftentimes. And when we do something, and I get it, that's not everybody's situation, but when we do things and they fail, we have to then say, okay, great, that's a good thing. I'm happy that didn't work out because now I know what not to do, and we can adjust and move forward. And that's what grows things in a business, is leaning into those failures, leaning into taking risks, leaning into trying things out, and maybe they don't work out perfectly for you. Stepping into that. This might be the most painful thing that you will have to learn in business, but it's going to probably produce the most returns for you. And there's certain people that I've talked to about this, to where at some moment in their life, a failure happened and it was so painful that they don't want to experience failure. And we create these perfection models in our head that we have to be perfect all the time, that we have to do everything perfect to be safe, that we have to do everything perfect to make the kind of income that we want. When the truth is, the results that's going to produce the kind of income that you want comes from flowing and going with the flow and being okay with failure and forgiving yourself for your mistakes and forgiving those other people that even judged you for your mistakes, and allowing yourself to fall flat on your face, to be tenacious, to pick yourself back up again. That's the key. You have to pick yourself back up again. You have to develop tenacity inside of yourself. It's the only way that you can embrace failure. If you're not tenacious to pick yourself back up again, you can't embrace failure. Because you just say that failure is the end. A failure is not the end if you pick yourself back up again. And so that's how we can lean into it, is by becoming stronger than our experiences, by strengthening ourselves, by healing through the pain from our past, and realizing, okay, for me to get to the next level, I'm going to have to embrace and lean into messing up, falling flat on my face, looking like a fool, and be okay with it. Be 100% okay with it. Absolutely. If we're not, that's a very slow, and possibly, it's not just slow, it would take multiple lifetimes to accomplish your goals. And you'll get to the end of your life and realize that you spent so much time trying to be perfect that you didn't really do anything. Because you were trying to maintain an image of some kind, trying to maintain how you look to everybody, trying to maintain how you, some level of unreasonable perfection that we've held ourselves to throughout our lives, to where we wouldn't allow ourselves to take a risk because of uncertainty. Leaning into uncertainty, leaning into the unknown, leaning into what we don't know. Being okay with those things not working out, embracing, being willing to have things fall flat, to then pick ourselves back up again and try again. And so developing that ability to get back up again when you're knocked down, that's the skill set that then goes hand in hand with embracing and leaning into failure. We're not talking about permanent failures here. We're talking about failures along the path to your success. Because when you get back up again, you didn't fail, you learned. You learned from it. But you have to be willing for things to not go your way. You have to be willing for things to not work out in your favor along the path. To accept those things as they are. Not just merely accepting them, but fully willing for them to happen to you. As you go on that path, as you embrace that, you can get back up again, you can get back on the horse, and you can keep moving forward towards your goals. Every single person that I know personally who's been successful had multiple failures for years and years and years and years. And they developed that ability to pick themselves back up again, to not allow their mistakes to define them. They embraced making mistakes as a good thing in their lives. They became okay with things not going their way. To step into the greatness that's on the other side of that feeling, that fear of failure. To where we're not afraid of failure, we're not afraid of success. We lean into it, and we know that it's part of the journey, that you want to fail often and fast, consistently. Why? Because it will accelerate the years of your journey. Now, what can cut those years down is mentorship. Finding a mentor, somebody that has failed more times than you, that can walk you along that path. But what I see a lot of people do is they'll get a mentor who has failed and walked the journey, and then they will argue that they know better than the mentor and that their way of doing things is going to work out better for whatever reason. That just doesn't work out. That's not a winning strategy. That's the same horse of not being willing to fail and being so attached to a method, being so attached to a process, being so attached to the one way of doing things that you think is the one way that's going to make you a millionaire. I see people say this all the time. I had a mentor tell me to do this and it's not working, but I had another that said this and I feel conflicted about the one way that's going to make me successful. There is no one way. The way that works for you is what you will learn by trial and error and doing something, putting yourself out there and testing and being okay with things not working out and failing for you, embracing that failure as a 110% good thing for your life, to test things out, to try them out, to see what does work out, instead of sitting around waiting until you have some feeling of certainty before you finally take action. Stepping into doing something to see how it works out, to see what happens, to just see what happens. When you start doing that, things start to come together for you as a business owner. And if you're not somebody you're not making $1 million right now, you need to focus your energy on sales, revenue, cash flow. What brings in the money for you? All of your activities need to be focused on what brings in cash for your business. Your business activities, all these other things are distractions. And the other thing too is when we sit around overthinking, overanalyzing, and ruminating in our heads about what we're afraid of might happen, those are distractions. If you're dealing with that, you may need to get some professional help to process through those emotions and those feelings. Because that comes from a very deep place of usually traumatic experiences, beliefs, and we have blinders on to how to get out of those patterns. For you as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, to make the kind of money that you want to make, you're going to have to be the person that gets up every day, tenaciously and consistently embracing failure, leaning into it, taking risks on a regular basis, and showing up even when you don't feel like it, not sitting in your head, not sitting in your feelings, but doing the work every single day. When you do that, things start to come together for you. Okay? So lean into failure, embrace it as your best friend, as a good thing, because then you can learn what not to do. And that's going to accelerate you to the next level, whether it be your failures or somebody else's. If you get a mentor, a coach, somebody that can help you. And that's what I help business owners do, is navigate that journey together. I can't make anybody do the right thing, but I can point them in the right direction. That's what I love helping people do, is pointing them in the right direction that gets them the most results. But it's still up to you. My methodology is this. I'll point you in the right direction, but it's your responsibility to be the one that takes action. I can't take the action for you. And so I'd love to talk with you. I'd love to work with you and come alongside you and help you find the path that's going to make you the most amount of money in your business, and break past these things that are limiting you, these fears of failure, these fear of making mistakes, and learning to lean into getting a no in the sales interaction. You want a no more often than a yes from people, to pre-qualify the right people for you to work with. So as you do that, as you get more of those no's, as you learn how to connect and how to communicate with the people that are going to be buying from you on a regular, consistent basis, you put stuff out there, you become 100% okay with them not working out, and you stay the process, you stay the course. You trust the process. You stay consistent every day, getting up, doing the work. Things will start to come together for you. How do I know that? Because that's what's happened for me. That's what's happened with my clients that I've seen. It's happened with every single business owner that I've ever seen that goes to 7 figures. People that don't get there, they give up because it's just too hard. And for most people, it is too hard. It is. They would rather be told what to do and work for somebody else, and work harder, work more hours for somebody else than take these risks. So you're going to have to step up. You're going to have to take risks as a business owner, do hard things to see results. And they become easy for you. As you do them more often, they become very easy for you. It's easier for me now to embrace failure, to lean into it, than to not. The thought of not leaning into it terrifies me more than anything else, because I know that that's a path to destruction. Which is why when I see people having that mindset, I'm like, oh, that's going to keep you stuck. There's something greater for you out there. But you have to break past this fear of failure and be willing to fail on a regular, consistent basis to take things to the next level for you. We'll talk soon, everybody. Schedule a free 15-minute call with me. I'd love to talk with you on my website, jeremiahkrakowski.com. You can schedule a call where we can talk about your business. We can talk about what it's going to take you to the next level with things, to get more sales and results online. Talk soon, everybody. Have a good one.